Norma, just give me a minute. Isi, you wanted to say something quickly.
Well, I was going to say something, but let Norma say what she was.
Okay, so let me
say. Then I'll say what I have to say.
Okay. Let me just quickly take Austin, then I'll come to you, Norma. Norma, Austin, you're live.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay. So the truth is that we have mixed religion with politics in this country, and it's not good for us. What we should do is to look out for someone who will deliver good governance to us, someone with good sense of character, someone that can, just take care of this country. If you check, we have, talking about religion now, we have religious extremists in both Christianity and Muslim. And if you look at it critically, even the people that have been killed so far in this country, they are still Muslims. Actually, there was a time when they wanted to cause a religious war by going after the Christians. When it didn't work, they now started killing the Muslims as well. Themselves. So we have to be very, very careful. But in all of this, religion has divided this country and ethnicity. So I think what we should do is to restructure this country. Ultimately, that is what will save this country.
Thank you. Talking about structure.
I don't know. Maybe
thank you so much, Austin.
Will do that.
Thank you so much. Talking about structure, somebody says if we do not fix our constitution, finally we'll still be discussing religion, regionalism, nepotism, and all the things that divides us and makes us walk on tightrope on the way to a prosperous existence. Now he says, I hope it won't be too late by the time we wake up to do the needful. Talking about, let's take comments, please, quickly.
All right. Okay. I've got several comments here. It says, hello, ladies. Any serious modern nation state must be secular. The most advanced countries are secular, where religion is relegated to private affairs. The most underdeveloped barbaric countries are religious. When you mix religion with illiteracy, it becomes toxic. In Nigeria, Islam and majority illiterate followers is similar to Christianity and blind followership. Religion is used to fan sentiments in Nigeria. This is from Ufoma.
Okay, so let me take Charles from Port Harcourt, then I'll come back to the comments. You're live.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, the issue, religion and politics, religion and politics, they've always been together. We've been managing it all this while in this country. It has not really been that obvious. I mean, managing it to some extent that there's not really been an issue that much. But I think in the past 8 years or 7 years thereabouts, since 2015, when this government came on, it became so very obvious. It became a very big issue. If you look the way our politics is being played today, there's a lot of division. Our politics is being played currently now on ethnic and religious line, which is not really doing us very well. That's divided the country more along those lines. And I think the body language of this present government has really helped in fueling it. And I think going forward, we have to look at people we elect in our public offices. Let it be people that are neutral, not at the extreme of even if it's a Christian, and not at the extreme even if it's a Muslim. The reason why I'm saying this, as if this government has really helped in fueling it, is that if there was some time Alafin of Oyo was complaining, I think of blessed memory, was complaining that there's many people that were causing this problem in Iganga, in Oyo State. Many of them are arrested, and at the end of the day, they were all released. He complained it was on media. It was really, they were released without no account. Some of them were not tried. Look at how the people that have been killed. How many of them have been arrested? So even some of them, at the end of the day, they will through more funny way they will be released. So going forward, I think the people we elect in our offices, we should be very mindful of the kind of people we elect.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so please, we're playing on dangerous grounds. Do your research very well before discussing the topic. Where did you get your figure of more Christians and no government has built more infrastructure in the South than this government is
Who's
Evans
anything
a
about
Muslim or
infrastructure?
something? I don't understand. So I don't get your question. So when you construct your question properly, you share it.
We will know
If you
what
were
we said.
referring to what I said about Kaduna, I lived in Kaduna. I was born in Kaduna. I grew up there until marriage brought me to Lagos State. And I'm telling you that the way I saw things, you know, it's almost like I couldn't recognize some part. Some part were exactly the way I left it when I left it many years ago. So
And
please,
it just happened to be
I
the
don't talk
southern
out
parts.
of what I do not know. If that is what you're referring to, let's take more comments.
Someone had said, we have never been as divided as we are today. This division cuts across virtually every line of divide. The sensitivity is brought forth by vivid happening where Christians feel helpless, while claimers of the other faith kill, kidnap, etc., and do other dastardly acts without fear. That's from Tayo in
Let me
Ikeja.
take Mohammed from Kaduna State, then I'll come back to the comments. Mohammed, please, can you guys cut up? Take your comments. Yeah, go ahead. You're live.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Go ahead. You're live.
How are you doing today?
TV is on.
We're good.
Please. Okay. What you guys are talking about is a very interesting and very sensitive topic.
Okay, we have Tony from Munich in Germany. He started off saying that, have we decided who we're voting 2023? That religion hasn't helped anybody since yesterday and it will not help anyone tomorrow. Please, we need sound men of vision and women of vision also who can speak to power. We need people who are more concerned about humanity. We need people who are more concerned about keeping us alive, keeping us sane, keeping us well, instead of considering where they came from. Because when they start thinking of where they came from, where faith is concerned, then it's being
sentiments
selfish.
begin to come in.
Yes, and sentiments start coming in. You can't start doing, being a case of us against them.
Be a leader for all.
Yes, it can't be
Okay.
us against them.
Absolutely.
It won't help us.
Let's take more comments. Good evening, my beautiful sisters. What are
Okay,
you
ma'am.
saying? The question is, should religion be in politics? To me, the answer is no. We can only pray for God to cause a change in the system. This present government was not what we prayed for. There is no crime in voting for our faith, but we need to know those people that will really bring a change to our country, Nigeria. We need to really know them. All right, so let's quickly take your comments, EC, then Norma, I'll come back to you.
Okay, it says our leaders, there's no name here, it says our leaders has caused us a lot of problems into Nigeria, they brought a lot of problems into Nigeria because of their selfish interests. The present administration starts it to enter power. I think he's trying to say
Okay, so let me read
the
it
present
quickly. It says-
administration
let me read it
started
quickly.
well when they came into power,
EC, your line
and
is
now
up.
it's causing us a lot of problems.
All right, so it says,
basically.
why church are attached and our leaders keep quiet? Attacked, rather, he means. Our leaders keep quiet. Check or what? Do you see any Muslim leader? I mean, Muslim leaders in power? No. So he says, please vote Christian. The devil you know is better than the angel you do not know. To get into power in Nigeria, you need to use religion for you to get into power. So he then go, I don't know your name, but you sent your comment. No, I'll come to you 1 minute. Good evening, ladies. As a Christian, we have lived in denial for so long, and time has come to put the conversation on the front burner. Otherwise, the killings will continue. This is from Kenneth from Angola. So are you insinuating that we should vote Christians? But let me take your comments, Norma.
Okay.
Oh.
Uh,
All right, it says, greetings, ladies. Classic example in the Bible, the Good Samaritan had compassion to take care of the injured. Priests and other notable people in the society passed by without rendering any help. Character is supreme. This is from Benson. And then another one says, ladies, our desired leader must simply be able to demonstrate Brian Tracy's 10 C's: clarity, competence, concentration, common sense, creativity, consideration, consistency, commitment, courage, confidence. How many of the current aspirants demonstrate these qualities?
Okay, Toby from Lagos, our final caller for the evening. Let's hear your call. Or let's hear what you have to say. Tommy, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Hello.
You are live.
Yeah,
We
good
can hear
evening.
you. Go ahead.
All right. So I want to say something. Now, quote from the Bible. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, quickly.
All right. So from Proverbs 29, verse 2, and it's loaded. It says, when the righteous are in authority,
people rejoice. But when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn. That's exactly what we are experiencing in Nigeria now. The wicked is in power and we are mourning. I won't say more than that.
Okay, so let me define righteous, right? Characterized by uprightness or morality. Morality or justifiable. Everything about righteousness does not speak to religion. Everything about righteousness speaks to character, uprightness.
Character.
So when you say when the righteous is in power, I am sure God was trying to say when someone that has humanity,
when the
right
kind
person,
of people
are in power. So I don't want us to limit it to religion, but quickly.
I please want people to get into the mindset of thinking about having a heart for the people. It's not about your religion at all. It's having a heart for the people. Be your brother's keeper. I can't believe that we have a head of state or a president who had been head of state as a military person, and we have people terrorizing Nigerians with guns and bombings, and nothing has ever been done. To the point where he's vexed enough in his spirit to pick up arms and say, if this is what it takes, it's what it takes to save our people. You sit down there and every single day you are commiserating. Let nobody commiserate with me. Let someone pick up arms and fight this battle with me so that it stops. How many people are they going to kill before we get frustrated and start talking about religion? It's not about religion now. Absolutely. If you want to live by the sword, you die by the sword. If we know and recognize you as somebody that is terrorizing Nigerians, then we hold you and start killing as well. Maybe when we start sieving out the bad from the good, then we can start talking, and then we can come to the table, and because we've been talking for too long, and it's not sorting anything out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much on that very
Well, I would like to say one thing.
On that passionate note, Issy, we ran out of time.
Can I say something?
Oh, sorry, darling, we've run out of time. Don't worry, this topic we will keep on bringing it. I told you people before. It says, good evening, ladies. Who brought the idea of if a Christian is a president, the vice is a Muslim? Why is it not if a man, if it is a man, otherwise, other vice should be a woman? All right, this is from Iyore, so she's bringing it at a different angle. All right, thank you so much, ladies. Right. Thank you, Issy. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Lydie. On that very passionate note, we're going to end the show. Thank you to everyone that called into the conversation. Now, before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa. You can interact with us further. Drop your comments, and more importantly, follow all our engagements. You can also follow us on Twitter. I won't vote for someone who will slaughter me. I will vote for my faith. Vote your faith. This is from Bishop David Oyedepo. Let me not go and give name to who. Lydie is a bit teary. It's fine. It is well. We are going to get it right in this country, and let us actually start to think humanity. Let's put lives on the, at the front burner. We'll see you guys live at 8 p.m. tomorrow as we bring another great conversation to your screen, Pele.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly
are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to
Former Senate President Ike Ekweremadu has been charged alongside his wife Beatrice Nwaneka Ekweremadu with conspiracy to arrange and or facilitate a travel of another person with a view to exploitation. We'll look at this on The Breakfast this morning.
Also on The Breakfast, we'll bring you a sports update with the sports journalist.
And don't forget, we'll also go through today's newspapers and analyzing the biggest stories of the day. Very good morning to you. We're back with The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's a beautiful Friday morning. We're reaching you live from our studios on Victoria Island, Lagos. My name is Kofi Bartels.
And I am Mercy Boko. Thank you for joining us this beautiful morning.
All right, Mercy, indeed it's looking bright and sparkly this morning. I almost had to come with shades, sun shades, so your brightness doesn't blind me.
I feel very flattered, but
right.
that's fine.
Fantastic, fantastic. Like they say, new day, new drama. And of course, I'm sure that not a few of you would have seen the videos trending around on social media. And of course, a trending segment is what we usually start with, where we look at some of these stories making the rounds, especially on social media. This particular video showed what looked like a bizarre scene. For me, initially when I saw it, I thought maybe there was some sort of drama being acted at the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Maybe you had some of the Nollywood actors or actresses going there to shoot a scene. So I said, who is this actor who is in a lawyer's outfit? What movie should we be expecting to come out? Only for me to see an interview and a gentleman who seems to be a lawyer, actually is a lawyer, was speaking and explaining himself. He's a human rights lawyer, Chief Malcolm Omoyorobo. He wore a traditional outfit, sort of looking like a juju priest to the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All right, so he caused a stare when he wore that African traditional worshippers attire. I don't know how I would call it African traditional worshippers attire, because some people wear a suit like me, but they're still traditional worshippers. He looked more like a juju priest. You can see there are 2 feathers on his wig. I don't know if they're eagle's feathers or chicken's feathers. Whichever it is, they are feathers. He has a calabash with cowries, like a gourd, sort of a gourd. I think that's what we should call it. Hanging on a red strip of cloth around his neck. He used chalk, this white local chalk, to draw a circle around his right eye. And he has, instead of his trousers, his black trousers, he has a red cloth, which he tied around his waist. Also on his arms, he has some cowries, his hands, his wrists. And on his ankles, he has anklets. And he could near to hear the sound of the anklets were making. I can imagine that the panel of judges at the Supreme Court were not slow to finish their sitting when they saw this man walk majestically into the chamber. Anyway, so this was yesterday, Friday, June 17. No, this was last week, Friday, June 17, it was reported, and this is not unlinked with this story to many people, that the Supreme Court had granted the use of hijab by female Muslim students in non-government-owned schools in Lagos State. And the court issued this judgment following an appeal by the Lagos State government in the case versus Asiyat Abdul Karim. So this lawyer was barefoot, clad in this outfit. At the end of the session, he addressed journalists, who were keen to know why he dressed in such a way. And what he said was that following the decision of the Supreme Court and the contents of the Nigerian Constitution as contained in Section 38, which allows for religious expression, freedom of expression of religious beliefs, that he was exercising his own right to practice his belief, even in clothing, to anywhere he wishes to. We have a guest joining us this morning, and we'll be looking at this before we move on to the next trending story. I'd like to say a very good morning to a legal practitioner, Evans Ufeli, who's standing by. Evans, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. Yes, can you hear me, Evans Ufeli? All right, so this is quite a bizarre one.
Good morning.
Oh, okay, Evans Ufeli is there, yes. Nice to have you,
Good morning to you.
Join us, yes.
Good morning, I can hear you.
All right, can you understand that the public, some section of the public, and in the press, are linking what the chief and lawyer has done to what happened in the Supreme Court at the ruling of Friday, 17 June?
Yes, what the lawyer was is protests, even though that was not made express by him in terms of expression, oral expression, but he seems not to be happy with the judgment, just like many lawyers, okay? Because when you have school, okay, the school have its own principles and
Well, like he rightly mentioned,
Yes, we seem to be having some issues with the gentleman lawyer.
Yes, we're hoping that we're able to.
Now this led to a dispute where a young lady was caught in the web between that case went court. Through the process, only for the Supreme Court state that you can wear and all that is of the fundamental right of the as I capitulated in section 38 and that judgment was delivered by the Supreme Court. No about that judgment. But what it means is why in the army, those in the effort and every other discipline would strip themselves off the code, the duty to take up traditional wears and other religious regalia to their place of professional assignment. It is an aberration. With you, justices in court, the seems to be eroding the professional and all duties of institutions and professional bodies. Because what this lawyer demonstrated here is an act of protest for satisfaction with the judgment of the Supreme Court. And that is what I say. And that is why nobody could question him at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court justices could not, because they knew that this was very big trap for them. If they make any other statements against them, another case will ensue. And that case would be that we, as lawyers, we have to rely on the judgment of the Supreme Court as precedent. So whatever the Supreme Court says, that is the law. So people cannot.
Are there consequences for his action? I mean, we need to get away from that. We understand the points that you've actually established. He's actually protesting the judgment and the ruling of the Supreme Court as regards the hijab wearing in Lagos State for students, that particular judgment. And he's saying that he will not just, this would not just be his own dressing, but he would ensure that his friends, members of his family, acquaintance, and his children would also be dressed like that to their different schools. Right, that's what he said. But do you think there's any consequence? Are there consequences for his action?
Well, there should be consequences. There should be consequences because the legal profession is a non-profession. Have established code of dress. Okay, established code of dress. The Supreme Court deliver a judgment regards a secondary school that you live in a secondary school. Well, the lawyer in question may have interpreted it and given broad expression that seems to do with the expression of human rights as interpreted in the Constitution. Then lawyers can also throw comment. That's what needs to be happening here. But I think it should have consequences, because without consequence, that might be opening the floor for for people to now maybe even put a wig and get away and get a looking attire, and maybe put a wig on top of the native attire and appear. So I think the days to come for those who like to protect and then who want to make a statement out of what the Supreme Court have done. You are going to see more of it. And the way the courts or the judiciary is going to handle it.
All right.
Determine where we are going to.
Evans Ofeli, thank you so much for being part of the show this morning. We need to move away right now. Thank you. We appreciate your thoughts on the issue.
Thank you.
All right, that's it on the issue of having the legal practitioner appearing in court in his traditional attire, and that might just, come as a lot of people have seen that as being very sarcastic. But still looking at our top trending conversation. The federal government lifts ban on international basketball competition. And I love the, whoever is handling the Twitter handle for the Tigers. They just come up with a lot of comic memes and very funny posts. The federal government decided to suspend Nigeria's basketball team from all international competition. Now, according to the report, this is following the intervention of some stakeholders. It feels like a lot of persons are very excited about it. I mean, we saw reactions from Nigerians being excited. But the big question still remains if the energy, the morale for these players have actually not dropped, because we also saw comments prior to that time where they said, hey, this will be the last time we'll ever come up and play for Nigeria. I really don't know what the spirit will be for these players now, the basketball players at the international level. Do they still have their spirit very high? Do we think that their spirit has been crushed? And do you think that they stand a chance going to the game, to win it with all of this that has happened? It's another question that a lot of persons have been asking. But it's a good thing to see that, the federal government have considered, decided to, consider the decision to lift this particular ban, which has gotten some persons being on the other side of the divide. But how does this impact on the players? Do they still have their spirit very high? Is there a tendency that if they get into the games, they would definitely, win the game with all that has happened? Kofi?
Yes, indeed. This is an interesting one. That we've had some infighting in the Nigerian Basketball Federation. I mean, Nigeria has been rising, in terms of basketball. You look at the male basketball team in the performance at the World Cup and the Olympic Games. You look at the female basketball team also doing their best to match up to what the males have been doing and also perform well as well, doing tremendously well, the Tigers, which is what the female basketball team is concerned. Now, This infighting in the Nigerian Basketball Federation is what may have led the federal government to say we're withdrawing. We're going to just ask everyone to go home. Ask everyone to go home, and we're going to interfere and make sure we try to probably solve the problem. And the federal government's way, this is government now, solution to the internal wrangling in the Nigerian Basketball Federation is to ban or to withdraw Nigeria from all international tournaments. Now, I personally, and I'm sure a lot of people were elated, when they saw that the Nigerian female national basketball team had qualified for the 2022 Women's World Cup billed for Sydney, Australia. When the federal government said, you know what, we're going to be withdrawing all our teams from all international tournaments. You know what it takes for Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup in basketball? In a tournament where you have the likes of Angola, in a continent, where you have the likes of Angola, you have the likes of Mali, and you have the likes of Algeria, of Egypt, of Senegal. It is not a birthright of Nigeria like it may be in football or soccer, as some call it, for Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup. It takes a lot for Nigeria to step ahead of some of these countries like Angola, Senegal, and Mali to make it to the World Cup. It takes a lot. And the government just said, you know what, we're going to withdraw the national team from international tournaments. Last month, Sunday Dare, who's the Minister of Sports and Youth Development, President Buhari had agreed to withdraw Nigeria from competing for the next 2 years in these international tournaments. It sort of reminds you of the biblical story where you have Solomon with two women saying, the child is mine, the child is mine. And what happens is Solomon takes the baby, says, give me a sword, and says, I'm going to slice his baby in half. If that's what's going to happen, I'll kill. And then the real mother says, oh, please, don't kill the baby. Let the adult man have it. And so this is I don't know what they were intending to just spoil everything or scatter everything. And of course, the International Basketball Federation swiftly, without wasting time, swiftly moved to replace Nigeria. All right, in that tournament, they replaced Nigeria with the team that Nigeria had beaten to get to that tournament, which happens to be Mali. And now they're telling us that they have rescinded their decision to suspend Nigeria. It's bizarre, but you know what Nigerians should realize from this? This is the kind of people who are running the country for you. All right? There's a kind of... So what? Are they going to now tell the IBBF to take Nigeria back?
And if you have them take Nigeria back, what's the... Because you still, at the end of the day, need to look at the psychological trauma. The trauma that this probably would have cost these players, because at some point we saw a lot of them venting via social media and Twitter and what have you, talking about how they feel and how they would never want to be identified with the country Nigeria. But it brings us back to the issue of saying, hey, was it even the right thing for the federal government to do? If you have conflict, if you have issues in the system, are there no ways that we can resolve conflict? Do we have to go on a showdown because the conflict? If it feels like the entire country should shut down. It feels like when you have conflict in a situation, let's all just go down and everything is not working because we have conflict. It just shows that at the end of the day, leadership should be able to provide all of this. But like we constantly would say that Nigeria is a nascent democracy. We're growing and we're still growing. We're hoping that we get it right as we, move along.
Well, Mercy, if we're saying that there should be a shutdown, what sector of our national society, of national life is actually not working?
No, I'm saying that if we think, you said that the reason for the suspension or government's decision is because of the infighting that's going on, and that's conflict.
No, not the reason for suspension.
The reason why
for the withdrawal of Nigeria from international, yes. And you're saying that things are.
So we're saying that if things are not going on, should everybody shut down? Should we all just shut down? Should the entire world shut down?
Yes,
because you would never have.
The point I was trying to make was that the thing that is most not working in this country, is government. Yeah. So if they're shutting down, like you're saying, or withdrawing Nigeria from international tournaments because there's infighting in the Basketball Federation, then government itself should also be withdrawn from national
and that's
life.
why I'm saying
because
that,
the country
the decision was
is
not
surviving in spite of government, not because of it.
And that's why I'm saying that, as long as, we live as humans on earth, there would always be conflict. I mean, there would always be situation. It wasn't a wise decision that government would withdraw. The government would actually withdraw, or say, hey, we're withdrawing our players from the international competition. It's not the best thing to do, because you would always have a situation. And that's why you have leadership to provide solution and insight to all of these issues.
Do they know what it means to qualify for the Basketball World Cup? Do they know the benefits that will come to those girls, to Nigerians, to the basketball in Nigeria? Do you know how many teams in the NBA and all the leagues in Europe and in Asia would say we want Nigerian players? I just think this is just Nigerians should realize the kind of people who are running the country to take such bizarre decisions. It beats my imagination. It does, Messi. Let's go on. Ondo State is in southwest Nigeria. Of course, that state has been in the eye of the storm. A lot of grief and emotion pouring out over the weekend as the about 40 persons who had been killed in the church attack at the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, were buried. Lots of questions being asked by Nigerians and those who want to see a resolution of this situation. I mean, we can talk about, or we can also talk about Kaduna, where we also have lots of church members also abducted as well. What's been going on? There have been lots of questions. And yesterday, the leader of the Omotekun Corps in Ondo State had announced that some of the suspects have been arrested. Now, what happened was the Omotekun Corps in Ondo State paraded 71 persons, they said, were arrested for various offenses in Ondo State, and that they used that opportunity to hint the public through the press that they also had nabbed some persons as far as the incident is concerned. In fact, the man you're seeing in white and a walkie-talkie on his chest on your screen is the commander of Omotekun in Ondo State. He's Adetunji Adeleye. He said that they arrested some suspects linked to the attack on the church. He said weapons and vehicles were recovered in the process of the apprehension. In fact, he said they actually recovered a vehicle that very day, is what he says. They came on motorcycles and a Golf vehicle. We have successfully recovered the vehicle and will soon arrest all the killers. It was specific when he said a Golf vehicle. But some questions being raised by this development. Of course, the pressmen there were asking, where are the people you said you've arrested? If you're parodying 71 suspects for other crimes, where are the people that you're saying you've arrested? We need more details. What are their names? How many are they? He didn't tell us how many they were. How many are they? Also, worthy of note is the fact that just like the last fake news that came out, where it was said that they had arrested some people, the police had to deny again. They're giving a lot of work to the police public relations officer in Ondo State, Fumilayo Odunlami. She has had to come out again this time to also say that the Ondo State Police Command has no knowledge of the arrest of suspected terrorists who invaded, attacked and killed worshippers at the St. Francis Catholic Church, a few weeks ago. This is what the police is saying. So what's going on? Is it that there is no cooperation between the security agencies in Ondo State? That's another one question to ask. Number two, where lies the power of Omotekun to arrest and parade suspects? In the Constitution of Nigeria, the security architecture, we don't have state police yet. But of course, we want to see that there's a prosecution, arrest and prosecution of those who killed innocent people in that church.
And that's what it is, conversation for another day, but we're saying that for those who were killed, we're hoping that the security agencies will swing into action and these persons will be identified, be made to face the law. And that's what Nigerians are expecting. That's the much on our top trending this morning. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll take you straight to the papers this morning, looking at the front pages for national dailies. Please stay with us.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Well, let's see the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Let's check out the pages of the national dailies. We call it Off the Press. At this point, we have Jide Johnson, who joins the conversation. Jide, it's good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning, Mercy and Kofi, and good morning to our viewers all over the world.
All right, then. We take a look at the Leadership newspaper. It's been made available by a paper vendor, and looking at it, you have the bold caption talking about a third-term ambition. I can't dare Nigerians with a third term, President Muhammadu Buhari tells United Kingdom Prime Minister, of course, and says the last person who tried it did not end well. Rules out another bail for Kanu. United Kingdom pledges military support against Boko Haram terrorism. And that's it on the bold caption for the Leadership. PNID fraud court convicts and winds up the Nigerian Limited, Marquardt Nigerian Limited, if I'm not mistaken. Senatorial race, Falana faults APC over submission of Lawan Akpabio's name. And you have Ekwere Madu, wife remanded in United Kingdom prison over alleged organ harvesting. And hijab, lawyer appears in herbalist attire at a Supreme Court. I mean, others will say he, according to him, is saying he's a traditionalist. Fuels scarcity. Ipman decries profiteering at private depots. And train attack, we are in hell over my husband's abduction. Wife cries out. Amoteku arrests suspected mastermind of our attack and recovers weapons. And the question of the legality of the actions of Amoteku has also been questioned right here. But that's so much we can take this morning on the Leadership.
Let's go straight to the Punch newspaper with these headlines. The big one on the Punch newspaper, aggrieved National Assembly members plan showdown with governors over lost tickets. Aggrieved National Assembly members plan showdown with governors over lost tickets. And the writers to that story, senators who lost tickets to governors, aides a plan for governorship, National Assembly battles. Senators who lost tickets to governors, aides a plan for governorship, National Assembly battles. Abiodun Faimi, Okowa's aides triumph in Ogun, Delta, Ekiti, and Amosun's men lose out. Zamfara reps clinch PDP tickets after dumping APC, accuse ruling party of cheating. More from the Punch newspaper. Marketers notify federal government on planned fuel price hike. Queues persist. Details on page 19. I think the queues are softening, from what I can see, at least in Lagos State. Southern leaders didn't agree on zone to produce President Okowa. Southern leaders didn't agree on zone to produce President Okowa. Wike meets Orubebe PDP senators. Wike meets Orubebe PDP senators. It should be, I think, the third or fourth of such meetings in the last 5 days. Wike can be described as the bride of Nigerian politics right now. Alleged organ trafficking, Ekweremadu wife risk long jail term. Alleged organ trafficking, Ekweremadu wife risk long jail term. And we have a few more stories from that paper. Poly lecturers meet July 3, may resume strike. Poly lecturers meet July 3, may resume strike. I'll leave it at that for now with the headlines on the front page of The Punch.
Well, away from The Punch, we have The Guardian newspaper this morning. Federal government auto gas plant stalls amid costly diesel and poor planning. It's boldly written on The Guardian. Underneath, you have several riders. Failure frustrates conversion scheme from diesel to CNG and petrol engines. Federal government explains progress despite low enrollment. We can't afford 5 million naira truck conversion rate, the NARTO says. And Ipman, without petrol subsidy, Nigerians would have been paying 900 naira per litre. Interesting. You also have another caption, a Moteku arrests suspect in a war attack, recovers car and ammunition, and families of Abuja Kaduna train abductees says victim planning suicide. United Kingdom confirms first vaccine derived poliovirus in 38 years, and Drama's lawyer appears in Supreme Court in traditional attire, might just be dominating all of the papers. Again, you find United Kingdom court denies Ekweremadu wife bail over child trafficking and organ harvesting. Why Nigeria has one of the world's worst vaccination rates. These are the headlines on The Guardian.
Let's bring this home with a look at stories coming on the front page of The Nation. A big one there. Detained Ekweremadu wife risk 10-year jail in UK. Detained Ekweremadu wife risk 10-year jail in UK. It's quite a bizarre one that I don't think they saw coming. That would be quite a big splash. The writer to that story, couple arrested at the airport in presence of High Commission officials, remanded till July 7 over allegations of organ harvesting others. So these are officials of the Nigerian High Commission in London. More from The Nation. Police Omoteko disagree over arrest of or attack suspects. 70,000 ghost workers flushed out of civil service. You can see a picture there. I think this should be the head of service or your house to set to determine deputy governor's fate. A bit of infighting or rumors of a bit of defections there, rumors of defection. MTN, MAFAB get August 24 deadline to roll out 5G. These are is referring to those who got the license for 5G rollout in the country. Defections, why senators, reps may lose seats. There should be the picture there of Einaya Baribe and, of course, Abdullahi, who have defected. We'll leave it at that, and we move straight to our guest, who is standing by. And, of course, he is Jide Johnson. We're glad to have you, Jide Johnson. And let's start with a big one coming on the front page of The Nation. The Punch newspaper, sorry about that, talking about aggrieved National Assembly members planning showdown with their governors over the lost ticket. Some, suspected that the National Assembly members' reason behind some of the clauses they included in the initial electoral act that the president refused to sign was so that they could be protected from the influence and power of the governors, and thereby having a better chance of returning back to the National Assembly. What do you make of this current situation with the benefit of hindsight?
Well, they shot themselves in the electoral act of 2022, and in the process they were looking for the Discover told me so they introduced an amendment which was not eventually assented to by the president. Cycle is a cycle that we have witnessed and we will still continue to witness it because the power blocks and the political parties are the government. So this cycle, every electoral cycle is National Assembly members losing out to the governor. It has been a cycle that has characterized the party. Hopefully we have a sensible and a sane polity whereby the people themselves will select or elect who will represent them at various levels. I think the election we should be interested in is the election to the National Assembly, where politics and government programs are debated and are ratified for the executive to go about with it. So, but what we have seen, the National Assembly become the retirement home for governors, to be a compensatory reward for lower aids. And that's why in one of the headlines, National Assembly member loses seats to governor inspiring out there. So.
All right, Jide Johnson, let's take a quick look at the Leadership newspaper this morning. On the Leadership newspaper, top right, it talks about the senatorial race and how Falana faults APC over the submission of Lawan and Akpabio's name for the race. I mean, do you agree with him? According to him, he said it's actually, he described that as an impunity of the APC to submit their names for the senatorial race, especially when they didn't contest for that election.
That's why we have the laws and that's why we have the institution. Relevant institution will deal with that. APC lost the ability to contest in Zamfara State in 2019. It almost ran into trouble in Rivers. They lost the opportunity to present the candidate across the board. So it's very clear, even we didn't have a strengthened electoral act then, the one where you do a 2011, the 2022 electoral act is explicit with respect to that. We need to be convinced how Ahmed Lawan participated in the UK North senatorial election and how Akpabio participated in the Akwa Ibom Northwest senatorial district election. Is the degree of impunity that has characterized the polity. If people do not have respect for the constitution of their party, when they get to government, they will not have respect for the constitution of Nigeria. We have said it over and over and over again. How can somebody run for 2 offices at the same time in the same electoral cycle? So is the person playing lottery? Is he playing lottery? So if such people are elected into public office, they will play lottery with the lives of Nigeria. Head or tail, they win. It makes me to remember one iconic Indian movie, Sholay. So whichever way it goes, whichever way you roll the coin, they win. It's insulting. It's insulting to the sensitivity of Nigeria. And those that are involved in that, they have no shame.
All right. Thank you very much.
Let them agree after let them go to court. Let them approach the court. They'll get their ticket. Let them allow them to work with them. They'll get their...
Interesting one. Interesting one. Thank you very much, Jide Johnson. Let's move on to more issues. The field queues are still here with us in Lagos State and in other parts of the country, though it seems to be reducing a little bit from what I observed this morning. But the Leadership newspaper tells us, it dedicates some space to this particular story. Fuel scarcity, Ipman decries profiteering at private depots. whilst you may not have an IPMAN of, you may not be a member of IPMAN, but I'm sure you can appreciate and are very, very aware of the happenings in the sector. So what are your thoughts on this? Because we've not even fully recovered or handled or dealt with the dirty fuel saga, and when we have this. Fuel scarcity, IPMAN decries profiteering at private depots.
You see, as long as you have this system in place, this corrupt system, all relying on foreign imports and government paying subsidy on petroleum products, specifically on premium motor spirit, which is petrol, we have what we have is AGVR. The best solution to this problem is for government to say, we are not paying subsidy for the next 2 years. Nigeria are going to go through this thing. However, we are going to invest this money in building new refineries, across the head of Nigeria. After that 3, 4, 5 years period of you paying high price, you start paying. But you know what? People are benefiting from the corrupt system. Who is paying each subsidy? President himself, before he became president, said that if anyone says he's paying subsidy, it's Nigeria. So you begin to wonder how do we, in fact, you look at what they say we consume on daily basis, and you ask yourself, how are we consuming this?
Jide Johnson,
the solution to it is for us to build our refineries. That's just it.
All right. Let's quickly share your thoughts on this one. I mean, we talked about it. The lawyer that appeared in Supreme Court in his traditional attire. What are your thoughts? I mean, what do you think about this? In all of this, he seemed to be protesting the judgment of the Supreme Court that's in favor of Muslim students who can wear the hijab in Lagos.
Well, when you bring identity into your journey, you create this type of problem. When the Supreme Court made that, prior to that, you recall this was last in under Aregbesola, secondary school. This is still an ongoing crisis in Kwara State. Information school saying that they don't want to wear hijab. And I said it that, look, for us in the Southwest, we are traditionalists. We have traditions. Religion is not limited to imported religion from the Middle East, the Christian faith, and the Islamic. In actual sense, the Abrahamic religion are three. Abraham himself was from the family of traditionalists. Before he gave birth to 2 children, and Ishmael, from whom the Islamic faith developed from, and to Isaac, from whom the Christian faith developed from. Imagine people going to court with their shaki, or students going to school with their shaki. If you know what they call shaki, it's a bony fraternity kind of dressing in the Southwest. What's the essence of uniform in school? What's the essence of? It's just that you don't distinguish one from another. You don't distinguish them on the basis of religion. For example, if I'm a Muslim, it's easy for me to identify Muslim students in my class because they're having a job. And I can develop some favoritism to them. Or if I'm a Christian, it is possible for me to distinguish the Muslim from the Christian and show favoritism to them. And even as a judge, I'm sitting in court and we brought cases before me. And if somebody is putting on a hijab and someone is not putting on a hijab, someone is dressing a traditional religion or what have you, it's easier for my religion, personal biases to come into play. That's why you ask people to wear the same thing uniform. That then you can't distinguish on the basis of religion, you can't distinguish on the basis of race, you can't distinguish on the basis of whatever form of identity you want to use to distinguish people. And that's the madness the Supreme Court has created. And let's continue with the madness and let people begin to enjoy it.
All right, we have the front page a story on the Punch newspaper, paying attention to the education sector. Poly lecturers meet July 3 may resume strike. Polytechnic lecturers, that is, meet July 3 may resume strike. And talking about meetings, it was on Wednesday after the Federal Executive Council meeting. Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Dr. Chris Ngige, addressed the press and told the press that ASU had been meeting with the federal government. They've been meeting with ASU, and in fact, they have a meeting on Thursday. I'm sure you're well aware of this development, Julia. And ASU later replied saying that they have no official invitation by the federal government to any meeting whatsoever on Thursday. This is coming after Education Minister Adamu Adamu said ASU will soon end the strike. They'll make an announcement at the end of the month. And ASU said, hey, we're not making an announcement. Why are you speaking for us? Chris Ngige also made a point at that fake news briefing or press briefing, saying that yes, they'll meet with ASU, they're going to attend to them, that after they give ASU their money, he knows that the polytechnic lecturers will come. After they're done with the polytechnic lecturers, he knows that the doctors will come. After they're done with the doctors, he knows that the nurses will come, and so on and so forth. What do you say about the state of education in Nigeria, especially coming 3 days, this news coming 3 days after President Buhari congratulated Afe Babalola University and its chancellor for emerging the 400th best university in the world and number one in Nigeria?
Let's look at the minister. The minister has title Doctor, Governor, Senator, Minister, Chris Ngige. Just look at the various offices that are occupied in this Fourth Republic. These people are far away from reality. They are far, far away from reality, including the Ministry of Education. It's unfortunate that we have found ourselves in a situation where we have found ourselves, where people are less concerned with what happened. How can you have a point whereby the university lecturers will go on strike? Doctors will go on strike, polytechnics lecturers are threatening to go on strike, and someone will still be parading himself as a minister. And will be proud to call himself the minister. It's unfortunate. In other clime, they will have resigned. That's the failure in Nigeria will reward failure, and we reinforce ineptitude. That's just the problem. Because based on the performance of some of the ministers in the first time of Buhari administration, we are told that Buhari will not nominate them again to minister in the second term, but we have the continuity and perpetuity of incompetence at various levels. And Nigerian children are paying for it. They are destroying the future. Look, there's nothing that can redeem the time these kids and these students have lost over time. Why did Afe Babalola get ranked 400 in the world and first in Nigeria? Because they don't go on strike. And they employ people on the basis of competence and merit. The people in Ado-Ekiti don't go and carry placards or appear on TV programs to say that the VC of Afe Babalola must come from Ado-Ekiti, like the nonsense they had in the University of Ife, where people from Ife were protesting the appointment of a non-Ife indigene to be the VC of the University of Ife. It's sad the way our polity has been in the educational sector, in the social sector. Which sector is actually working in Nigeria? In the power sector.
All right, quickly, let's look at this. Feels like we've been avoiding it. On the Leadership newspaper, I can't dare Nigerians with a third term. President Muhammadu Buhari tells the United Kingdom Prime Minister. Why should we be talking about the known already? It's very obvious that, the president should not. It's a democratic process. We're thinking about the third term, but it feels like we keep talking about what we know already.
If there's no smoke without fire, because I can't dare. That's what the president. I can't, not I won't. There. I'm just analyzing the statement. Then in the first instance, why will you entertain? Why will you make such statement if you have not entertained the thought? It's only a madman that talks without thinking. Thinking precedes talking. What I comes out of your mouth in terms of speech is a product of your thought. Are there people thinking about third term for PMP in Nigeria? That should be a red flag for people to be much more concerned. And then look at the second part of the statement. He said the person that tried it in the past, it did not end well. So if there are positives from the last person that tried it, probably they will have tried it now. There are some certain things that you don't even entertain. It should be distinct that whoever is thinking of that is just a figment of that person's imagination. That has never been the plan of our administration or not. And there should have been a statement from the presidency with respect to this.
Much for your time and for
Mercy,
your expertise.
Those that are thinking of third term for the president, they don't wasting their time. Nigeria is a constitutional democracy, and in constitutional democracy there is tenure. And the tenure of this president will end May 29, 2023, and the process to replace this president democratically has started with the party's primaries conducted. We are just waiting for
Thank you, Jide Johnson. We have to go.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your time. Have a fantastic weekend, and we can't wait to have you join us again next week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's the size of our conversation. Thank you so much for being part of the press. We will return on Monday. This is the last for the week. And we take a break now. When we return, it'll be time for us to head straight to our first major conversation right here, where we look at the case with Ike Ekweremadu and his wife. Stay with us.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Hello and welcome to Space and Style, a property show designed to connect various stakeholders across the property value chain. We can also provide realistic solutions and deepen your knowledge about the interesting world of real estate. We shall showcase architectural design, interior design trends, lifestyle and real-time property news updates, and the right way to navigate through property development and investment. Join me every week on this channel as I take you through an exciting journey in the world of real estate.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu alongside his wife Beatrice Nwaneka Ekweremadu have been denied bail and remanded in custody by United Kingdom court over allegations bordering on organ trafficking. It was earlier reported that the UK Metropolitan Police, the London Metropolitan Police in particular, formally charged Ekweremadu and his wife with conspiracy to facilitate the travel of another person for organ harvesting in the United Kingdom. Ekweremadu and his wife were arrested and charged over their plan to bring a child into the United Kingdom to allegedly harvest the said child's organ. The charges involve arranging and facilitating the travel of another person with a view to exploitation, namely organ harvesting, according to Metropolitan Police statement released yesterday, Thursday. The victim, whose travel was facilitated to the UK by the suspects, was said to be a homeless 15-year-old boy picked from the streets of Lagos under false pretense. The statement added that the investigation was launched after detectives were alerted to potential offences under the modern slavery legislation in May 2022. Now, the British Broadcasting Corporation reported that when the suspects appeared at the Uxbridge Magistrates Court in West London on Thursday and were asked by the clerk for their address, they both replied Nigeria. The Ekweremados, who were arrested 2 days ago, have since then been remanded in custody to appear at the same court next month, specifically on the 7th of July. The suspects were arrested at Heathrow Airport on their way to Istanbul, Turkey. Reports claim they were planning to procure a kidney from a donor in Turkey after the initial plan had failed. Now, we have joining us a lawyer, Justice Uhuegbu, who will provide some much-needed analysis on this developing story. Mr. Uhuegbu, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
How does someone who is a ranking senator, has been in the National Assembly for years, spanning almost 2 decades, if not more, someone who was called to the bar, Nigerian bar, in 1987, someone who has a degree and a master's degree in law, someone who has a PhD in law. How does someone like that, who has his own law chambers, where his principal in the law chambers named after him, commit such an error, a blunder, or an alleged crime? Barrister, can you hear me, please? All right, we have lost our guest, Justice Uhuegbu, who's a lawyer, but we'll get back to him as soon as we can. I'm sure you can understand the network sometimes is not always a friend. But I was seeking to understand from the learned gentlemen, like they call themselves, how someone who was called to the Nigerian bar in 1987, someone who has a law degree, who has a master's in law, who has a PhD in law, who is a principal at a chamber, a legal chamber or a law chamber named after him, and who has been in the National Assembly, a ranking senator, and who is also a former deputy Senate president, find himself in such a situation. Because, of course, you don't see fire and walk into it. You don't also expect that somebody who is aware of the legal provisions in Nigeria and different parts of the world, at least globally recognized the conventions and all that, will find themselves in this kind of situation. So that is what I was seeking to understand. But Mercy, it's quite a shock to many that someone so eminently qualified and respected with such a standing in society will find himself in this situation, not saying that he is guilty or has committed a crime, but finds himself. That's why I'm using that particular description.
Because first of all, the trial is not a conviction, and we're hoping that when the trial starts, all the facts would actually be brought together, and if he's found guilty, then he would be made to face the law. A lot of persons have expressed the fact that the reason they're very hopeful, this is not the Nigerian system, they have expressed a lot of faith in the British judicial system, and then there's hope. So if he's guilty, he will face the law. If he's not guilty, it would be all right. But some of the concerns that you have raised is, I mean, he's very learned, he's very exposed, he should understand, he should know better. It's that we sometimes do not understand the workings of the law. And there are some things that are very applicable. There might be universal standards for some basic issues. But, in a system where you have things not done properly, we seem to have a very big issue with, respecting the law, the Constitution, even at the party level. It's just a big deal. As simple and as easy as respecting the traffic law, it's a big deal. And so you probably would you have the same behavior and character. And then moving over to another climb where you have a system that's very functional and very efficient. And then you think that might just be the case. And, you might be taking... So the things that you probably think that don't mean anything to you because there are some things that are very basic. Now, humans, if you look at the laws in the United Kingdom, first of all, you're going to be, what he's going to be facing, we're looking at the Modern Acts of 2015, Modern Slavery Act of 2015. And if he faults all of that, then it becomes, you know, an issue at the end of the day. So we're being told, I'm not sure if we have a guest now.
So we're still trying to get back to a guest. But, you know, there's a normal, you know, there's usually a haste for Nigerians to take sides in such matters in which politicians are involved, you know, because, of course, for obvious reasons, people are not happy. So looking at the mood of the nation and the comments by, you know, most Nigerians in the media, you know, radio stations, TV stations, you have social media, most people have already, you know, passed the judgment on Ike Ekweremadu. You know, some are saying karma is at work, you know, that politicians have not fixed the health sector in the country, and this is good as happening to him. The next time he should fix the health sector. But, you know, I mean, I think it's too early to jump to conclusions. We've had, you know, a bit of from the Daily Mail. Daily Mail of the UK have put out an article where they gave us the words, the statement by the lawyer to Ekweremadu, and then also the lawyer to his wife, Nneka Ekweremadu, she, who the lady representing her, put a word out as well, saying that they have never and will never be part of human trafficking. You know, they've never been part of that, and you know, they've never brought anyone to the UK for organ harvesting. That took some time to try and understand why they use the word organ harvesting, because of course, in different parts of the world, including the UK, you're able to donate an organ to someone who is in need. In fact, recently in the UK, they had to come up with new laws. All right, with new laws. They have what they call the opt-out option in the UK, which simply means that because of the new laws that state that if you're 18 and above, when you die, your organs could be donated to somebody who's alive, who's in need. You know, so for instance, your liver, for instance, your kidney, for instance, your heart. If you die, your organs, by the laws of the United Kingdom, can be given to someone who is alive. Now, the opt-out law, or the opt-out option, rather, says that you don't need to sit back and allow your family members to decide what should be done with your organs. Maybe when they're approached by the government, if they want to say no, or if they want to say yes, you know, approached by the health authorities, you should actually take your decision. You can go on the NHS website and you can actually click whether you want your organs to be donated when you die or not. You know, so it's called the opt-out option. So I mean, for people to really understand why someone has to be taken from Nigeria to the UK to donate their kidney, of course, the National Health Service is sort of a welfarist health program set up by the United Kingdom, the government, for the people there. You don't need to pay for health. It's what do you call it again? A welfare scheme. There's a particular term I'm trying to look for. I think I'll call it a social security of sorts. You know, the latest figures, if you check out what the National Health Service is saying, indicates that, I mean, last year the BBC put out a report that they had about 7,000 people who were on the waiting list. It's a big issue when you talk about the waiting list. You hear them talking, you listen to their radio stations and stuff, you hear them talking about waiting lists. People who have, you know, chronic diseases who are waiting for a transplant may even pass on and not get one. As of today, in the United Kingdom, you have more than 6,000 people who are on the waiting list as at today. All right, you have more than 6,000 people who are on the waiting list who cannot, and it takes typically sometimes 3 years. I think, sorry, Mercy, the average time it takes is 3.5 years. But what they're saying is that it could be more or it could be less. So what we have now, if you permit me to just make that point, is you have, as we speak today, you have 6,414 people who are on the waiting list for a transplant in the UK. Between April 2022 and June 17, 2022, you have 834 people who received the transplant. So it shows how it is a dire situation, to the point the government had to change the rules to say if you die, your organs can be donated to someone. But you have to take the choice now if you want to opt in or out.
No, so I think that as much as we're also saying that it's important, we know that Nigerians have been very reactive with this issue. Already what you want to say is that, the case already is in public court, and so there probably might just be, public trial and media trial. But we're saying, hey, let's not be very hesitant in jumping into conclusion. The facts would be there. In different countries, you have laws that varies, and so that's the issue right now. What's obtainable in a certain country might not be obtainable in another country, but also bringing it to some things that are very basic. We're talking about universal standards and principle now. When you talk about the issue of human being and child trafficking, it's a universal thing at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that, when eventually the trial starts, of course, there's been an adjournment and everything has been denied bail July the 7th. There will be hearing for that particular case. It would be they'll be looking at this legal practitioners, they'll be looking at the issue of intention here. What's the intention? What are the procedures? These are it. Yes, we understand that these are dynamics, but like you mentioned, it's very fundamental that you understand what's applicable in another country. There's always this parable that they say that if you have like a hen or fowl gets to a place, you have to take a step first and observe what's going on before you begin to take some kind of action. So it's important that people understand that laws varies in different countries, but there are some basic laws that are very universal. You need to understand that before you understand. So if you also look at the letter that's been made very public, the letter that was put out asking for application of visa, because there's also another thing that's very critical in all of this, and we're hoping that we get the answer. It's the fact that, number one, the police there is saying that you have the age 15. The boy is 15 years old, and on the other hand, there's also a report from this other side saying he's 21. These are issues that are very, very contending. They're issues that needs a lot of answers. So how did the police in the United Kingdom arrive at 15 and he's saying he's 21? Now, looking at that letter as well, you would also see a letter. The letter talks about investigating. There's going to be some investigation of a donor. I mean, investigate, kidney donor or an organ, something like that. I can't go through. Okay, let's see if I can just go through the letter now. Not necessarily the way
this is where A.K. Ekweremadu,
wrote. So I have the letter in front of me. It says, I'm writing this in support. It has the Senator A.K. Ekweremadu letter headed paper. And of course, his name and all of the things that you want to see is dated 28 of, am I seeing clearly? 28 of
December
2021. And he says, I'm writing in support of visa application made by Mr. Ukpo David, who is currently having medical investigation for kidney donation to Miss Sonia Ekweremadu. I stay with that first, investigation. Now, I think that's the reason why you have a lot of Nigerians saying, hey, if we fix it, do you even have to, go? Because at the end of the day, according to the reports and story that we have available, it's that the kidney didn't match. There wasn't really a match, and that's why he was on transit, to get another donor. But the big question would be, it gets back to the number one question that you have asked, is that should you need to travel to carry out this investigation? Don't we have what it takes in Nigeria to find out if, the kidney actually match? So you needed to make that journey first outside of Nigeria to go find out. So if he did that within Nigeria, maybe all of this probably wouldn't have been, in this particular space and all of that.
Yes, but Mercy, that's an important question. Before we move on to some other aspect of this, it's good that this letter it was leaked. I would be interested in knowing who leaked this letter out. But it was leaked to the public, and it's in the public space. You can see that indeed Senator A.K. Ekweremadu wrote to the UK visa authorities asking for a visa for Mr. Ukpo Nwamini David, who is currently having medical investigations for kidney donation to Miss Sonia Ekweremadu, who is Ekweremadu's daughter. David and Sonia will be at the Royal Hospital London, and I will be providing the necessary funding. So it was clear the man didn't hide anything. He was clear. But the reason, so the question is coming up, and one could ask, why did Ekweremadu have to state all these things in the letter? So the reason why he has to, I'm not a medical doctor, but if we had one, I'm sure they would say that sometimes you have to have the recipient of the organ together with the
it talks about investigation. You see the thought.
I'm going somewhere. Together with the donor, so they can test to see if it's a match. Now you can see that he said there was an investigation going on in Nigeria to determine the suitability.
Where is that?
To determine the match. It's on the page there. All right.
What part of it?
Those medical investigation is what he was talking about. Currently having a medical investigation. Now, of course, it could be suspected that Sonia was already in the UK receiving her medical attention. The Ekweremadu have a house, as it was heard before the court in Uxbridge, the magistrates court in Uxbridge, in somewhere in North London, a place called Middlesome, I think is the name. So they have a house there. So it may be, we don't know a lot about this, but it's possible that Sonia was receiving medical attention in the UK. I mean, it's not far-fetched, and it's easy to understand that you may want to have the person who is donating the organ somewhere near the person who is receiving the organ. I would be surprised if they weren't sure that this guy was a match, because those medical investigations going on in Nigeria should help. But the reason why Ekweremadu had to state all things is that there is a visa. The information is readily available on the UK government website. There's a visa called the UK Standard Visitor Visa that can be used to go to the United Kingdom for business purposes. You want to visit on business, you want to visit for study, you want to visit as an academic, and also when you want to visit for medical reasons. Now, one of the things that you can visit the UK as a standard visa, as a standard visa for medical reasons, will be to donate an organ. All right, they have 3 reasons there. Number 1 is to have a private medical treatment at a hospital or other medical facility, which is what our president does. Number 2 is to have, what I think he does anyway. Number 2 is to have a treatment at an NHS hospital. And the 3rd one is to donate an organ to a family member or a close friend. Now, this includes being assessed for suitability as a donor match. So you can actually travel, get a visa, apply for a visa, not just to go and donate, but also to travel to go there to see if both of you match. You will be given a visa for that. You'll be given a visa for that. But they have strict rules. What they say is that you must be a member of a recipient's family. All right. They say you can only visit the UK to donate organs to a family member who you're genetically related to, for example, your sibling or your parent. B, someone who you have close personal relationship with, for instance, your partner or your friend. All right, so these things exist because a lot of people have been asking why didn't they get the donation from UK? They have a shortage up there. And then secondly, you have this visa which is available. So the man had to probably state that on the letter so that they could understand the kind of visa they're applying for. I'm told we have our guests back on the line. Justice Uwegbu is a lawyer. Good morning to you, Justice, and great to have you back. Hello, Justice Uwegbu, can you hear me, please? All right. Sincere apologies for that. We'll try and reconnect with him. So there's this possibility, Mercy, to have this, apply for this visa. So I'm sure that's why he had to. And it's clearly stated on the UK government website that you can get that visa, not just to go donate an organ, but to go test for suitability. You understand? So it's not a surprise that he had to state that. But also, there are criteria. The person must be someone who you've had a close personal relationship with, or a family member genetically. I mean, that can be stated. We know what happens. But why are they? Yeah, just to make another point. Sorry, Mercy. Why are they looking out for things like this? The United Kingdom, the people and the government, they are really big on forced organ extractions because of the shortage in the UK. A lot of British citizens, some of them, let me say, have to travel to China and other countries to get organ transplants. Now, the United Kingdom has been very, very, very concerned that you have what we call forced organ harvesting, because, I mean, we have to look at also the difference between organ harvesting and organ donation, all right? So if it's forcefully taken from you, then, of course, it's no longer a donation. Nobody can say that you donated something that you didn't readily, easily, or willingly give. you know. So they now came up to say, okay, forced organ harvesting is something we don't want in our country. We have information from people in China that some of them who are prisoners of conscience have their organs forcefully taken from them to be given to people who need them. And that our citizens are traveling from UK because of the long waiting list and the expense that you'd have to incur if you're going for private care, that some citizens are going to China to get transplants. Now, we don't want our citizens to go to China to get organ transplants if it's possible that those organs were forcefully taken from people without their consent. Yes, their consent. So you have forced organ harvesting. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, not less than 40 MPs in the British Parliament had to, support a bill to the effect that such what they call organ tourism should be banned. And this year, a bill was passed into law. The UK's Health and Care Bill was passed into law, a new piece of legislation that was set to prevent, or will prevent, expect to prevent British nationals from traveling abroad to receive an organ transplant. They want to make sure that whoever receives a transplant abroad got it from someone who willingly gave it. It's like, for instance, having a T-shirt company, maybe a UK business that manufactures T-shirts in Taiwan or Bangladesh or Vietnam, and then they get to hear that they're using child labor. They don't want their business to be associated with that.
I mean,
yes.
That's why I'm saying that a lot of faith has been expressed in the judicial system of the United Kingdom, and everyone is expected that it's going to be a fair system. There's a lot of trust that's been expressed, as much as a lot of persons are already jumping into conclusion and trying to go ahead with giving ruling and judgment just before the trial. It's already, you have a case already. But the point here is this. A lot of persons have queried. And the issue is, if we had, a system where we're able to sort out what we have, we're able to, if you look at the letter that's been made public, that letter that he wrote to the British Embassy, or Commission, if you want to say, talking about investigating. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I don't think that anybody will be talking about the issue of having...
Yes, Mercy, sorry to interrupt you. I'm told we have our guest back on the line. Justice Uwegbu, can you hear us? Hello, Justice Uwegbu, are you there, please? Can you hear us? Unfortunately, we've lost contact with our guest. So, Mercy, this is quite an interesting one, and unfortunately, our guest is having some issues with his connection, but we'll try our very best to see if we can do that.
The question has been about investigating. So it was very obvious that the process, and which a lot of persons have said, legal practitioners, you want to have people saying that the intention would also be looked at. These are factors that will be considered during the hearing.
Yes,
but we don't want to be very jumpy about it. The issue is the intentions of the parties will be looked at. That's number one. And secondly, you would also be looking at the issue of the procedure. These are very critical issues. The laws actually varies, and fingers are crossed, and we're hoping that justice would actually be meted whichever way. Now, on the other hand, is the fact that Nigerians are already saying, hey, if we had a medical system, sorted out, if we had faith in the medical, structure that we have, or institution, then we would not even have any reason to always want to go out. That's because it was very certain with that letter that he wasn't sure. It wasn't going to be a donor. It wasn't just going to be like, hey, we're just going to have a kidney donation. This person is going to be having a kidney donation. It was an investigation to ensure that there's a match. Unfortunately, according to the reports, it feels like the donor wasn't really a match. But a lot of it, it's a concern. I mean, that's what happens when you have a system that functions. The developed climb, you have structures, you have laws, and things are not done as you should think. But we're hoping that the facts will be actually brought out. Fingers are very crossed, and let's see how all of this pans out.
Yes,
we're also asking everyone, to relax and allow, these professionals, I mean, the law itself, the judicial system, to do its job without we jumping into conclusions, because the facts would actually be brought out. And let's not be very hasty with public judgment on this particular case.
But we need to... A point I was trying to make, very important before we go, is that, all these things that we're saying is to help people understand what's going on and why, this is wrong. Also, the questions on the minds of members of the public out there. But the point I was trying to make was that it is wrong to take an organ from somebody who does not voluntarily give it. There are statistics showing that it's a growing business and trade in the world. We've had people who have reported in Nigeria that they were almost abducted. I think last month there was a story from a lady in Port Harcourt who said she had this one chance experience, what we call one chance in Nigeria, where she was almost kidnapped in a bus. They'll tell you, there's only one seat left. That's what they call one chance, on the streets in this part of the world. And you get into the bus and then you're abducted. She managed to escape, but she said they pointed a gun at her, opened the cooler and showed her body parts, and said if she moves, they'll shoot her, is what she said. So we've had response, experiences like this. It was in 2017. Former Nigerian Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode said, in the height of this whole slavery thing in Libya of blacks, he said that most of them are killed and they have their organs exported to countries like China. So it's interesting to see. If the UK authorities are really, really concerned about the morality of their citizens paying their way to places like China, spending their own money to take care of themselves and get transplants. They don't need to be the ones who extracted these organs illegally, but they just do not want there to be any complicity of any nature. So if you look at that, now imagine having someone trafficked, allegedly, from Nigeria to the United Kingdom, which means that they were taken there under false pretenses or against their will or without their consent or without their parents, allegedly, suspectedly. And then secondly, apart from trafficking, suspected intention or intent to harvest organs. That's the second one. This happening on the assault, they are going to frown at it very, very seriously. This is a serious case, and nobody can talk them out of this. Definitely, it's not going to happen. But we need to be aware of what's happening in the world. Also, the fact that even if we have the health system working in Nigeria, it still wouldn't make it right to harvest people's organs.
That's not even the case. I mean, we're just looking at the issues now. Like you've rightly mentioned, that's not the point. We're not saying that we're very in the know that a lot of organ harvesting is going on in the world. I mean, I'm sure that you're very also conversant with the trend of in Zimbabwe where people are taking out their toes and selling it off. So all of these things are in the know. We're just saying that if you look at the reactions of Nigerians, you have mentioned the Nigerians have been very critical and saying, oh, if we have the medical sector, which is very key. I mean, let's even look at it. How many times have we heard that the president of the United Kingdom came to Nigeria for some medical treatment? How many times have you heard that members of the parliament here in Nigeria or here anybody coming to Nigeria to seek medical treatment? If you look at the letter, the point is, could we or could he have avoided the situation? If you say you're going to have a kidney transplant, he wasn't very sure. It was going to be an investigation. That's what the letter says. And we're just being very careful so we don't jump into the case. I mean, we're not lawyers. We have the judicial system already. They will actually follow due process. And the reason why bail was not granted was because it involves different countries. And so this would actually allow, for the entire process. And this is what a lot of people are saying. A system that actually works. A system that respects procedures and, respect the law and things that are applicable. And that's exactly what it is. The issue that is very universal and basic is that lives will be protected. Humanity is number one. And when you also look at the issue of the age, so you have on the one hand, because following the news and the reports, you have the United Kingdom media reporting 15 years old. And on the other hand, you're hearing is a 21-year-old. Whose report do we then believe? Let's not understand that at 15, you're still looking at this child as a minor. They don't have any right to give consent to whatever it is. And so should they have someone who would actually give all of that? But this is not actually our duty. That's how much we can take at this point in time.
Before you go, I think it's a very important point you've raised, and since we're here to enlighten people, just give me a second or two to say this, that it's a question that a lot of people have asked, about the age and everything. Now, look at the provisions. I mean, the NHS website is very rich, and anyone can go there and check it out. They asked, we have explainers for everything. So the question is asked, as far as live organ donation is concerned. We have two, live organ donation and donation from people who have passed on. they're asking, is there an age limit to becoming a donor? So the issue of the age really doesn't come to play in terms of whether the age is a factor in determining guilt or not, but really the consent, like you said. Now, there's no age limit, according to NHS, to be an organ donor. The decision about whether some or all organs or tissue are suitable for transplant is always made by medical specialists. But children can donate, but there has to be, number one, consent. Also, they may need to go to the court to get approval. So we'll get more details, like you said, as time goes on. But we have to move on. We'll be back after this break to talk some more right here on The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Stay with us.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Let's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We have Thomas Monday, who joins the conversation this morning to bring us update in the world of sport. Monday, it's good to have you join us.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine.
All right. So let's start off with the Golden Eaglet reaching the finals of the 2023 African Under-17 Cup of Nations. Should this be something very cheering news for us as Nigerians, despite all of the concerns that we're faced with at the time?
It should be something the whole country should be jubilating about, because when the foundation is right, then the rest becomes history and great stories. And of course, Nduka Mbane, the head coach of the Golden Eaglet, has been doing a great job. It didn't just start this year. It's been the reason Nigeria are one of the best countries when it comes to under-17 football. In case you don't know, Nigeria is the best nation. We've won 5 under-17 championship, world championship. And yet again, The under-17, the Golden Eaglets are in the finals of the Wapu Zombie competition later on this evening against Burkina Faso. It is something we should be happy about because we have something ongoing in our grassroots football. Nduka Mbadi, the head coach of the Golden Eaglet, the same man that discovered the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho, Victor Osimhen, and he was one of the coaches that won us the 5 World Championship that we have. So it's something great. It's something to be happy about. I'm really, really excited about the new boys. We've got free kick takers, and in our previous game, we're able to beat Ivory Coast 3-1 after losing in the first few minutes. The boys were able to run it back, and this is the character of great champions. And tonight, I think it's going to be an easy peasy for the Golden Eaglets, although they are playing against the Burkina Faso side who are unbeaten in this tournament so far. But I listened to Nduka Mbadi some hours ago, and he's talking tough, and he's getting ready for the big one later on this evening. I want to urge Nigerians that the boys can bring it back home.
Abondi Thomas, what's your analysis of the entire tournament? Of course, the Golden Eaglets doing very well, beating the likes of Ghana and other teams. Do you think African football, West African football, is finally getting it as far as the age, the whole football age versus real age thing is concerned?
I think the MRI test is making things better. Personally, I'm really sure about the Nigerian side. Bartels, if you take a look at their faces, you can tell that these are real youngsters. I know we've been in the same situation where we used to get over-age players. I mean, the fact some of our workers that we won, funny enough, is from the over-age players. But for these boys, with the MRI test, they're always undergoing before every competition. I think they're one for the future. They are young lads and they can stand a very long period. They are young stars, Bartels. You've got to believe me, there's nothing wrong with this set of players. I've seen their faces. I know sometimes the faces doesn't get to depict how old the person is, but these guys, they're playing beautiful football, and for the MRI test that they went before this tournament, I think we don't have any issue about over-age players or players who have outgrown the under-17.
All right, let's get to, the transfer news and the window right now. For Manchester United, fans seem to be very disappointed with the fact that there might not just be any business of signing. I mean, signing any player. But there are also reports saying that, players are also departing. For instance, the likes of Paul Pogba. You also have Lingard and Mata, as well as rumors saying that Ronaldo might just also have plans to leave. But what do you really make of Manchester United and the fact that they're not even making plans to sign new players, looking at how far the team has actually fared?
I don't mean to ruffle any shoulder this morning, but I've got to be brutally honest. Manchester United is not a big club anymore. Manchester United is not a big club. They've got rich history. They've got trophies in their cabinet, but in the past 3-4 years, they're not a big side anymore. And when you take a look at the transfer market, it's the pedigree of a side, the pedigree of a club side in the past 4 years. What have you been able to win? Because we are now playing in the generation of football where they're just concerned about a big team. Yeah, they're just concerned about a big team because big team win you trophies. Individual players don't get to win you trophies anymore. You've got to be playing collective football. You've got to play alongside big names so that you can win trophies. For Manchester United, which big name do they have? Probably Cristiano Ronaldo. Just as you've rightly stated, he's about to be on his way out because he is saying that with this crop of players at United, he can't win trophies. So right now, the transfer market, Manchester United have one problem, reputation problem. They cannot attract good players. That's the same problem Arsenal are having, but for somehow Arsenal, they have this quality of signing great players. Well, I don't need to say he's a great player. I'm talking about Fabio Vieira, who Arsenal signed. Well, from his YouTube videos, he's a fantastic player, but I'm not sure what he can do in the English Premier League. So Arsenal and Manchester United have the same problem. You can't attract a big name. Goodness, Erling Braut Haaland can't come to Manchester United. Manchester, they've got the purchasing power. They've got billions, but he won't go because he wants to win the Champions League. He's Erling Haaland, young star. He knows that he's got great potential, and he just to play alongside other stars so that he can win championship. Manchester United, since the transfer window started, they tried getting Frankie de Jong. They've got purchasing power. Every morning they keep increasing the bid. From Frankie de Jong is saying, I'm skeptical about this club. With the little persuasion from Barcelona, and now that deal, I'm not really sure it's going to go through. Paul Pogba moved yesterday, and they can't attract good players. So the reason why Manchester United are struggling in the transfer market right now is that they are going for players who are above them, with all due respect.
All right. We've heard talk about, Eriksen having to choose between Brentford and Manchester United. I'm sure that may give you, fuel to support your suggestion that Manchester United is a small club. But please do not get close to any Man U fan who is watching this morning. They just might hit you for saying their club is a small club. I mean, all clubs go through their time or period of dryness. Liverpool, for instance, isn't it too early in the day? We could yet see Sven-Göran Eriksson joining Manchester United. Isn't it too early in the window to be calling this transfers, window or period a failure for Man U? We still have some days to go, if not weeks. And also, secondly, what do you think the problem is with Manchester United? I mean, if we look at the figures they've spent on transfer activity in the past few years or past few seasons, it's a lot. We can look at Jadon Sancho, who came in, Edison Cavani, who came in, the young man or the old man who came in from Real Madrid for their defense and all that. They've been buying players, Tellers and co. So what is the problem? What is the problem? Is it from the board? Is it from the CEO who's leaving? Is it from the coaches they've been in? What is the problem with Man U? So I've asked two questions. Can you start from the first?
All right. The root problem is that Manchester United have lost their reputation. And the branches is that they are signing coaches that they can control. They couldn't control Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho said, I can't continue. Yes, they're signing coaches that they can take decision over. They are not empowering their coaches enough. They are not giving them the power to make decisions. The board signed players for Manchester United. Of course, it's the board, they own the club. So this is what happens. It's the board that are signing players, and I also think the coaches they are signing also have a part to play. Now, football is all about money. Now, if you sign me right now, and you tell me I can't make signing, and then you're paying me $250,000 weekly, all right, keep on making your signing. I'm here to cash out. That's what happens right now. Everyone is using Manchester United cash out. No one is really concerned because Jose Mourinho, his past record's quality, but in Manchester United, he was having issues with the board. He had issues with Paul Pogba because the board were defending Paul Pogba because probably Paul Pogba was the most popular player at that time. His jersey was selling. So you can't trust Paul Pogba. So Manchester United have a board issue, and if Erik ten Hag can tell them, hey, can I be in control for at least 3 seasons, and let's see how we can move this club forward. But no, they want to sign players for the coaches. So this is the problem.
What about David? When David Gill was there, everyone was saying David Gill has failed. He spent a ton of cash, and he's not been able to bring the club back to where it belongs. David Gill out, and he left, and you have Richard Arnold coming in, and he's also having issues. Is it from the appointment of who leads the ship to be able to make the final decisions and coordinate everybody?
Well, first off, I'd like to just reaffirm my point. The few weeks that Erik ten Hag was announced, he came out to say that he doesn't have Cristiano Ronaldo in his plans, but he was pressured by the board. Why would you say that? Why would you say you don't have Cristiano Ronaldo in your plan? He had to refute that particular one still on the media. He didn't say something like that. Cristiano Ronaldo is a very good player, that he will see how he can work with them in the future. So it's also a coach. It can't be coach all the time because people also get to see the coach on the pitch of play. He's the main actor, but there are some people at the background who control virtually everything at the club. So Manchester United signing a new manager, Erik ten Hag, and with his football in Ajax, is playing the best football, but that beautiful football we may not get to see it at the Theatre of Dreams if Manchester United's board do not give him the complete authority, the complete powers to make decisions the way he wants to sign the players he wants to work with. Because a coach, no matter how good you are, you need to know how to control your players. And if you can't control your players, you don't have powers over them. They will certainly do what they want to do, and then you'll be in a bond to be blamed later on.
All right. I was actually talking about Ed Woodward, not David Gill. But we have to call it a day at this point. Monday, Thomas, it remains to be seen if Erik ten Hag can turn around the situation at the 14s of this club. I mean, we can look at Liverpool and the struggles they had in the Premier League until the current coach, Jurgen Klopp, came. Maybe Ten Hag can be the club that will turn around the 14s of a sleeping giant in Manchester United. Thank you for your time, Monday, and hope to have you soon.
It was great talking to you once again, Bartel. Say hi to your co-presenter. And it's good to also know that basketball is back in the nation because of time and the lack of it. Maybe we'll get to talk some other time.
All right. Many thanks for being part of the show. We appreciate your time, and that's the much we can take on The Breakfast. If you missed out on any part of it, it will be all right. To follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Messi Bobo.
And I'm Kofi Bertels, so we can't wait to have you back with us next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Good morning.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Reading is an essential habit and a culture that must be developed. Nigerians are generally believed to have a poor reading culture. The role of government in promoting reading and equipping reading spaces and libraries in Nigeria cannot be underestimated. But first, we must look at the development of reading habits from the home and the role parents play in encouraging their children.
My parents, my mom used to be a teacher, so reading was obviously part of a curriculum. And then my father used to be a professor and is an author. So I started reading very, very early, and I started reading books that were higher than my age grade. I was reading African Writer series from age 7, age 8, and reading encyclopedias by that time. So obviously my parents had a huge part and encouraged that in me.
In the Nigerian book market, there's a high influx of foreign authors writing for children, but very few Nigerian authors telling relatable, homegrown Nigerian stories.
If you start out reading stories even to your baby, even before they're 1, and then as they get older, buy appropriate materials that are colorful, with easy to read words, and read with them. I think that helps.
Adedotun, a co-founder of Robin Heights, a leading bookstore in Nigeria, has tips for Nigerian authors and how they can improve on their work and get into the hearts of readers.
The story has to be good, right? If you're writing, whatever you're writing, if you're writing fiction, if you're writing non-fiction, it has to be like, really, really compelling, one. Next thing would be like in terms of like the packaging, right? People have gone past the era where you just take your books to just about any printer to print for you. I think, publishers, self-published authors as well, they need to invest in ensuring that the quality of the book, the final output is one that will, stack up with any book, published, elsewhere in the world. So that's really important. Then I think, what would be like the most important tip for me to them would be just, they need to invest in marketing.
The book business, like any other business, is challenging.
If you ask anyone who's running the business in Nigeria, they will tell you capital, of course, right? Book selling is also, as with any other business, is also quite capital intensive. Getting to pay your rent, getting to actually buy the books and stock up like your shelves when you have them. Hiring good people requires decent amount of capital. So I would say it's getting the startup funds to set up something, and then if you're looking to do it at scale like we're hoping to do, then it also requires you raising funding, which isn't readily available in commercial banks, right? I don't think a bank would say they want to give you a loan to set up a bookstore. They probably will be skeptical about the number of people who read. So for us, I think it's just I would say capital is at the top of the totem pole.
It is commendable that certain individuals and organizations are making concerted efforts to revive the reading culture in the country. The government should also redesign the school curriculum to incorporate more reading activities in primary and secondary schools.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good morning, I am Messi Bopo. This is the news brief. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness, lauding the relationships between the two countries. The president's spokesman, Mr. Femi Adesina, said the two leaders met on the sidelines of the 2060 edition of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. In his remarks, Holness said Nigeria has been very supportive of Jamaica, with two countries having commercial agreements in place. He added that the maiden flight from Nigeria to Jamaica about 2 years ago was well received, plus the relationship in creative industry, sports and finance, while referring to a recent opinion article written by Buhari and published in an international newspaper. Holness said he agreed that the Commonwealth could be more than just a club of friends who have affinity with the United Kingdom and become more economic powerhouse. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has commended the efforts of President Nigeria's civil servant for partnering with the government in driving the implementation of its programs. The president, who described the civil servant as the engine room of government activities, appreciated them for their commitment and dedication during the height of COVID-19 pandemic. The president added that the government would spare no effort aimed at improving the competency of officers and civil service through training and retraining of staff by the system. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo has called on ECOWAS region to be conscious of growing the population of its young people and the need to provide quality healthcare, education, and nutrition for them. At the presentation of strategy document of human capital development programs for ECOWAS and Nigeria, organized by the National Economic Council, NEC, Vice President Osinbajo said Africa is the youngest and fastest growing continent, as West Africa is being projected to have 400 million young people by 2050. He insisted the essence of the document was to buttress that the people were central to all that government and private sector or civil society partners did. He warned that an idle youthful population would portend an increased risk of social instability. London Metropolitan Police has arrested a Nigerian national, Ike Ekweremadu, and his wife Beatrice Nwaneka Ekweremadu for conspiring to bring a child to the United Kingdom for organ harvesting. While the description given by the police matches that of the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife, the lawmaker nor his aides have commented on the development as of the time of publishing this report. The police added that both have been remanded in custody and will appear at the Uxbridge Magistrate Court. The investigation was launched after detectives were alerted to potential offense on the modern slavery legislation in May 2022. The governor of Delta State and vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Fanyo Kowa, says the ticket given to the former vice president and presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and himself is a ticket of hope. The governor noted that the PDP is elected to run the affairs of the nation from the central seat. Education will be a priority.
It's a ticket of grace. It's a ticket of hope. It's a ticket for victory. And this ticket will rescue and rebuild Nigeria. I know that we have gone very far and we remain committed. What we have done, what we have achieved in Delta State, we want to upscale it everywhere into the Nigerian nation. There are many people who talk on television. There are so many people who say things that they cannot do. People want to give it position of authority in the past. And they are not able to achieve anything. That they begin to build hope. When they know that they cannot truly offer that hope. We stand for sure to say the things that we know we can do. I know that this ticket is prepared to impact very strongly on the life of the Nigerian youth, because to feel the pains of the world as students, we know that we never feel as right. Because we understand that education is very important for our youth, it's important for our women.
Nigerians have been called upon to use the window provided by the extension of the continuous voter registration and get their permanent voters card. Chief Judge said it is the only authority which affects the change they expect in the next political dispensation. He commended the determination and zeal displayed so far by a majority of Nigerians at ensuring that they obtain their PVCs.
The power to effect positively on the governance of this nation requires this card. Depends absolutely on this card. And if you think it doesn't concern you, then don't complain if things are not working well. We have an opportunity now to right the wrongs, to put ourselves, do an in-depth analysis, and vote your conscience. If we don't do that, we are consigned to a perpetual quiet after election.
Chief Judge called on the PDP members to close ranks and work for the success of the party in the forthcoming polls.
In our own party too, I want to appeal to the managers of the party that they need to move out now before the full-blown campaign. There are complaints, genuine complaints, all over the whole country, within the party. And we must be deceiving ourselves if we say all is well. And there is no political party that doesn't have one issue or the other. Before we start the campaign, I will appeal the managers, the board of trustees of our party, and the other committed members of our party to please move out within the echelons of the party and close ranks.
Police in Kaduna State have killed one bandit and recovered one AK-49 gun and one locally fabricated. The spokesman, DSP Mohammed Jalid, who confirmed the incident, said that the tactical operation followed a distress call that some bandits were sighted on Galadima Gidandan Road in Giwa local government area of the state. Jalad stated that the command had been making efforts to restore public confidence through rigorous patrol and surveillance to prevent further attacks on communities or on commuters, and applauded the commitment of the operative, asking them to sustain recent gains to ensure safety and security in the state. Amoteku Corps in Ondo State have arrested a number of persons in connection with massacre worshippers at the St. Francis Catholic Church, or Ondo State. Addressing newsmen in Akura, the commander of the Corps, Adetunji Adeleye, said everyone involved in the church attack would be brought to book. Meanwhile, the Ondo State Police Command said the force is not aware of such arrest.
We have recovered the last vehicle they used for that operation, and we've made some arrests. And we've also recovered some vital things which we are working on. Like I've told you, we are not stopping until we get to the root. So I can assure you that the perpetrators and their sponsors will be brought to book. We are parading 71 suspects. These suspects were arrested within the last 1 month for various offenses ranging from armed robbery, cattle rustling, suspected kidnappers, cultists, fraudsters, and human traffickers.
Kwara State government has confirmed the first case of monkeypox in the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Raji Razak, who confirmed this, said a 29-year-old driver resident in Bubo in Edun local government area of the state was discovered to have contracted the disease. The commissioner said the driver has been placed on admission at a government hospital while members of his household were on surveillance. Razak also hinted that there was an ongoing training and retraining of health workers to strengthen the response of state government to the development. The House of Representatives is set to investigate remittance to the Ecological Fund and withdrawals from the account between 2010 and 2022, alleging mismanagement of funds by the beneficiaries. The House Committee on Ecological Fund is also to investigate the utilization of funds by benefiting government departments and agencies from 2010 to March 2022 and establish infractions. They establish these facts. The House asked the committee to conduct public hearings with all major stakeholders on the effective and efficient utilization of the Ecological Fund and report within 6 weeks for further legislative action. Gombe State Government has launched the Northwest East Development Commission and EDC Education Endowment Fund and Scholarship Portal for the people in the Northeast. This is expected to help explore the people's potential.
The groundbreaking ceremony of a block of 3 classrooms at Government Day Comprehensive Junior Secondary School in Kwame local government area is a pilot scheme to be provided in each local government. A new set of 500 kVA generator was also donated to the Federal Teaching Hospital, Gombe, while 500 units of houses are under construction at the Western Bypass for citizens in the zone.
Gombe has always been desirous to develop and not just to witness growth, which is a natural phenomenon. Accordingly, the state has at all times shown the greatest political will to support, liaise, cooperate, and learn from development partners. The Northeast Development Commission being no exception.
Among the root causes of conflicts anywhere in the world are unemployment and lack of education, or improper education, or indoctrination. It is generally believed that while even an educated person can be radicalized, it is indeed far easier to radicalize somebody who is not educated, somebody who doesn't have work to do.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadiya Farouk, represented, said activities of Boko Haram has created a setback in the education sector and compounded the poverty level and unemployment in the region.
On that occasion of October 2021, I made reference to our educational endowment fund, and as Mr. Member mentioned that very soon the use of Gombe and by extension the use of Northeast will benefit from this scholarship award.
Presenting an overview of the NEDCEF program, the acting chairperson Hajia Asma'u Eka Mohammed explained that the endowment fund is to bridge the gap created by activities of Boko Haram, pointing out that the fund intends to improve infrastructure, personnel and capacity development, among others.
That the management and board of the Northeast Development Commission considered it necessary to put in place a special purpose vehicle to address the educational needs of the 6 states of the Northeast. Accordingly, this noble objective of the Commission came to fruition when the governing board of the Northeast Development Commission approved the establishment of the Education Endowment Fund.
Goodwill messages poured in for the interventions in the Northeast.
Before now, I don't have any idea, I don't know anything that has to do with smartphone repairing. But after undergoing the training, I can now boldly disassemble, repair, and assemble any kind of smartphone. So it is indeed a great thing to me.
Highlights of the occasion included cultural dances by the state cultural troupe and Ngwada dancers from Yamal to Deba local governments.
And to other parts of Africa, South Africa has announced its first confirmed case of monkeypox. Speaking at the press conference, the health minister, Joe Pahla, said the patient is a 30-year-old man from Johannesburg who has no travel history, which means it cannot be attributed to infection outside South Africa. Health authorities have now begun contact tracing on the case. Medical experts say the first symptoms of monkeypox are usually a high fever, swollen nodes, and chickenpox-like rash. The virus is said to usually disappear after 2 to 3 weeks. Lawmakers in Ghana have approved a plan to investigate how funds worth $1.5 billion were spent in the fight against COVID-19. It follows alleged discrepancies in the recipient payment presented to members of the parliament by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Opposition MPs said the minister had failed to give a convincing explanation when he appeared before Parliament on Wednesday. But the minister said the government had been accountable and transparent in the use of the funds. And outside Africa, the White House has expressed disappointment in the United States Supreme Court ruling that the Constitution protects an individual's right to carry a handgun in public for self-defense. The 6-3 ruling, with the court's conservative justice and the majority and liberal justice in the dissent, struck down New York and state's limit on carrying concealed handguns outside the home, as the court found that the law enacted in 1913 violated a person's right to keep and bear arms under the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment. The decision hands a landmark victory to gun rights advocates in a nation deeply divided over how to address firearms violence.
We are disappointed by the Supreme Court's ruling today. The Second Amendment, as you've heard the President say, is not obsolete and permits common sense gun regulation. Justice Department defended New York's concealed carry law, which had been in place since 1911 and imposed only a modest burden on most gun owners. The law applied only to handguns and public places and contained an exception for people who could establish an actual articulable need for self-defense. Despite the setbacks, the President earlier urged states to continue to enact and enforce common sense laws to make their citizens and communities safer for gun violence. As it relates to what's happening in Congress right now, we think that's separate and apart. Clearly, that is a bipartisan effort. The president is encouraged by what he is seeing. The culture vote happened today, so it's moving along in the right direction. Look, when the president went to Uvalde, when he went to Buffalo with the First Lady, those are trips that he does not want to do again. The president understands he's had a long career in doing gun reform, in ending gun violence since he was a senator. We have not seen this type of bipartisan type of coming together to push this legislation in decades. So we are definitely encouraged by what we're seeing, and the president wants them to move quickly so he can get to his desk and he can sign that.
And in business news, the federal government says it has started the implementation of 10 naira taxation per litre of sugar sweetened beverages to reduce the incidence of non-communicable diseases. Chief Superintendent of Customs Department of Excess Free Trade Zone and Industrial Incentive, Dennis Ituma, made this known at a policy breakfast meeting in Abuja organized by the National Action on Sugar Reduction to proffer ways to implement tax and other intervention to reduce the SSBS consumption in the country. According to Ituma, Customs has started the implementation of taxing all companies producing SSBS since June the 1st, 2021, with the sensitization of the companies on the need for the taxation. Nigeria can rely on technology to grow her economy, but the federal government must create the enabling environment for technological-driven businesses to thrive. This was the consensus at a 100 West African Network Conference and Exhibition. Our correspondent Lovi Kuku Oyedekun reports.
These are young men and women breaking grounds in the technology space and ready to do more. Exploring and highlighting game-changing technologies, dazzling innovations is the next move through this conference.
There is a gradual build-up. We are not talking about very, very sophisticated stuff here. We're just talking about guys building technologies that will allow Iya Mohammed to just manage a small shop and receive payments and track who owes her what. Do you understand me? So that technologies are enabling that, and they're becoming cheaper and more accessible.
The tech skills you acquire today will be there for life, but the whole you have today. For instance, if you put diesel in your generator. You use it after some hours or some days. But the skill that you put into yourself will last for you forever.
We just have it in us that we want to solve problems. We want to find legitimate means to make ends meet. And there are a lot of problems that could be solved in the area of telecom, in the area of commerce, in the area of education that people are trying to solve. So in the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of investment. We're going to see a lot of innovative solutions coming in.
Stakeholders praise the Nigerian entrepreneurial spirit in the youths, though expressed concern about the safety of the cyberspace.
Government actually needs to encourage the industry players to group themselves into specific groups or into professional groups that can be easily accessed, that they can have a conversation in. Okay, government wakes up today. We want to come up with a regulatory framework for IoTs in Nigeria. Where are the people?
It's actually can be achieved by collective responsibility of everybody, and everybody to understand that it's very important for us to learn how to stay safe in the cyberspace. So we are actively collaborating with schools, secondary schools, universities, in order to create this awareness and for people to understand how they need to stay safe in the cyberspace, and how companies' data, how they can protect their privacy and the rest of them.
They hold strongly that technology holds the future of Nigeria's economy with the right framework in place.
Oil will not always be there, but technology will be there. Just like power is relevant today, technology will be relevant tomorrow.
The three-day conference organized by Internet of Things, IoT, has industry innovators sharing expertise on emerging trends to guide the West African technology users to the right digital transformation. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Messi Bokbo. Many thanks for watching.
Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria with 351,861 hectares of land, is the authentic home of every tribe and tongue in Nigeria. The state, though small in landmass, is controversially the most populous state in the country. One of the neighborhoods in the state is Obalende, located in Etiosa local government area. The area is strategically a historic site because before the relocation of administrative capital from Lagos to Abuja, it was the seat of power of the military head of state, the Dodon Barrack. Historically, a Royal West African Frontier Force, predominantly Hausa men, were initially camped on the land where the famous King's College is situated. Then there was a need for the use of the land, and the Oba of Lagos was said to have pressured the governor of Lagos to resettle the Hausa men and sold the land in what is now Obalende to the British colonial masters. After resettlement in the purchased land, the Royal West Africa Frontier Force men named the place Ibiti Obalewade, which translates to the place where the king drove us to. Obalende, though crowded, is famous for its nightlife and for its suya sport, with a junction popularly called Suya Junction. For ease of administration, former governor of Lagos State Asiwaju Bola Tinubu created additional 37 local council development areas from the existing 20 local council areas. So the current Obalende is carved out under Ikoyi Obalende Local Council Development Area. Ikorodu town is another historic location in Lagos, located in the northeast area of the state along the Lagos Lagoon and shares a boundary with Ogun State. Currently, the town houses Ikorodu local government area and 5 local council development areas. Kabiru Shotobi is the king of Ikorodu, traditionally known as Ayogbunre of Ikorodu, who ascended the throne from October 24, 2015. The name Ikorodu came about from people whose ancestors descended from the Remo stock of Yoruba tribe who came to settle on a plateau and named it Ikorodu, a shortened word from Oko Odu, which literally means Odu, farm. The current metro area population of Ikorodu in 2021 is 989,000, a 5.44% increase from 2020. Trading, farming, and manufacturing are some of the things Ikorodu is known for. Ikeja is the capital of Lagos State, formerly called Akeja. It was named after a deity of the Awori people of Ota, who originally settled there. The area was invaded for slaves until the mid-19th century. Ikeja, an abbreviation meaning of Ikorodu and Ekpe joint administration, was coined by colonial administrators for ease of administration. It is the official seat of the governor of the state, where the state secretariat is also located. It is also where the domestic and international airports are located. Its population as of 2006 census is 330,196. Ikeja is home to one of West Africa's largest gadget markets, popularly known as Computer Village, and home to a shopping mall known as Ikeja City Mall, which is the biggest mall in Lagos mainland and also has a cinema. These are some interesting places that make Lagos a world-class destination.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time.